regarding that type of thing. And not only that, today like we have a plan of discussing about mobile application development using Flutter. And I'm also here for you to share a lot of information about the placement opportunities of like fundamental engineering college, because to be honest, I got nearly 5 companies, and from that I have chosen Visual BI as a best one. The reason is some personal reasons for that, and yeah. And I'm also feeling very much drowsy today because yesterday only I had vaccinated. And without making further delay, I will not take much of your weekend time, and I will make sure that the information which will reach you as correct as possible, and you will get benefited through this. And as I said before, I would also like to share a lot of placement information, because as I'm not that much long short alumni. I'm just 2021 passed out. That is 1 year senior than you. So don't need to be like afraid of interacting with me. I'm just a student. I believe I am a student, and I like to share a lot of information with you people. Okay, so yes, let's. I will share my screen and start. Uh, can anyone reply if you could screen my screen?
Sir.
Yes, it's visible. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And okay. So before going to mobile application development using Flutter, I would like to know one type of thing. I know most of you have like learned about the Java in second year, right? So I would like to know how many of you know Java here. Can you just please raise your hand so that I could be confident that you are in a right way? Yeah, thank you, Dinesh. Yeah, keep going. Thank you. Shan, okay. That's super cool. Super guys. Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you. So before like Flutter is almost like a Java. Okay, Flutter is like almost a part of Java. Everything like classes, concepts, everything is similar to Java, only with few changes in maybe syntax or the type of things. Okay, so before getting into Flutter, we will see like what about the today's agenda. Like we are going to look what is Flutter and what are the placement opportunities and market in Flutter, and what is Dart and life cycle of Flutter. And also we will have more practical session than the theoretical session, because I know the more the theoretical, more the boring content. Okay, so yeah, I will not like take much time on the theoretical content, so that we will like go to the practical session and we will get benefited from this. Okay, and before okay. So first of all, why we need Flutter? Okay, Flutter is like a front end toolkit which has been used so far, because there are more languages like Java, Swift for native mobile application development. If like anyone have already aware of the mobile application development, you will like hear this type of languages like Shift, C Basic, say like that type of things. And Flutter, like why people and the demand is like increases over to Flutter, because with the help of only one code, Flutter can transform into an Android application, an iOS application, and Windows application, and Mac application, and everything. Just imagine this type of thing. For example, if you wrote in Java, you can use only in Android, and if you wrote in Swift, you can use only in iOS. And also there is something like React Native, which is being developed by Facebook. That is also a hybrid platform development which supports both the Android as well as iOS. But imagine how Flutter is, because if you know Java, you can use one single code for transforming into Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux. So this type of thing has increased the demand for Flutter. Okay, Okay, and before that type of, and before the thing, I'd like to say that I'm also new to this type of sessions, like conducting workshops, and yeah, previous year I was listening to this type of workshops, and now I'm conducting workshop. I feel very proud, but still, I would like to make sure I'm not so fast, or I'm not clear, or anything that type of things. Okay, just be commenting or raise hand or just unmute and say if you have any doubts or you would like to stop me from anything. Okay, and okay, so as I said, like with the help of only one code, you can transform into a lot of things. And mainly after few years there will be no OSs like what to say, Android 11, Android 12, everything will be Google Fuchsia OS. Okay, and the main dependent of the Google Fuchsia OS is Flutter is developed by Google, and Google Fuchsia is mostly concentrated on like everything Windows, Mac, everything. So that's what it created demand for Flutter developers in this type of things. Okay, and Flutter can be used for both front end and back end sort of things, but I personally recommend you to use only for front end type, because Flutter has little bit less abilities compared to Python or any other backend languages which you use. Okay, and what is okay, so like Flutter uses like Dart platform, Flutter engine. I'm very sure that if you would like see this as a vast content, at the beginning stage it will be like definitely difficult for you to understand. And okay, so Flutter is not a language. Okay, Flutter is just a framework. For example, if it uses the language called Dart language, DART, so which was I was talking about, which is similar to the Java language. So that is called the Dart language, which is also being developed by Google. So everything is developed by Google when it comes to Flutter. And okay, what does Flutter exactly do? With the help of the Dart code, Flutter engine compiles for the native applications. For example, if you write a single Dart code, when you use Android Studio for Android application development, it will convert automatically into the Java code. And if you use like for example for iOS development, it will automatically convert it to Swift or C Basics, any type of iOS languages which is being used. So that is what Flutter is being most preferred nowadays, and the demand for Flutter has been increased. And not only that, most of my placement opportunities began with Flutter. Flutter was a turning point of my life, because if I'm not sure, in the second year again, there was an internship drive conducted by our college. Like many companies have been entered in our college, and they were selecting the best people for their internship. So on that time only, I got an opportunity to learn about Flutter, because when I was heard about the word Flutter, I don't even know a single thing about Flutter. So within a 1 week, I could grasp the code and understand everything, because the language is similar to Java. As I know Java very well, it was very easy for me to adopt to Flutter. So Flutter is that much easy. If you like theoretically work on it, you may find it more difficult. But if you practically work on it, you may find the easiest language which you can develop a lot of applications. Okay. And which are the top companies hire Flutter developers? So as you know, Amazon, dream company for many of them here. If you are choosing your career as a software developer, and Cognizant, yeah, very well known. And Ola Electrics has been introduced now, and the demand for Flutter developers has been increased a lot. And Infosys, Entity Data, and other native mobile application development, because everyone are making adopt to Flutter. The reason is it is only one code, single code, because they feel the maintainability difficult. Because if you there are two codes, for example Java and Swift, uh, it will be difficult for them to hire the people and adopt to that. Or if it is a Flutter language, if it is a Flutter framework, within the Dart language, everything will be covered easily within a single piece of code. So that's what looks good. And if you see like what is the salary structure Flutter developers earn, it's nearly 6 lakhs to 14 lakhs and above. It looks super good, and a best opportunity for Flutter developers they will ever get. And as I said before, and what is a Dart language? So Dart is like used for web server and mobile application development. And as I said, like in Java, it supports classes, objects, and methods, and it is developed by Google. And not only that, if you have gone through Java very well, you have came across a word called as type safe. For example, Python is not type safe because, for example, everything will be dynamic. No need to declare like int, string or anything. But in Java or any other languages, there is a type declaration which makes the program more readable and more secure. So that is what we mean as a type safe, and Dart is one of the type safe languages which is being used. And going to the next thing, which is data types and operators. Yes, as I said, like numbers, strings, booleans, everything is similar to Java, guys. Okay, it will be very easy for you if you know Java, or like if you don't have like idea about Java also. I will make sure that you get understand better way. Okay. And okay, so this is the core part of the Flutter where you need to concentrate a lot on this thing, which because this would help you to develop more number of applications. So according to Flutter, we call everything as a widget. Okay. So what do you mean by widget? For example, if you see there is a box, it is called a widget. If you see there is a text, it is called a widget. If you see like anything in my screen, everything is a widget. So that was a technical word which is being defined in Dart language widget because everything is a widget. And what do you mean by stateless and stateful widget? There are many types of widgets in when it comes to Flutter, but these are the two core types which is being mainly used. Okay, and if you see, like there is a good example. So this is the time is changing in the same place, right? For example, it is not moving to any location within the same place. It is getting updated like 5960. Everything is getting updated within the same place. So there is something a state is being used. Okay, like for example, the state is being carried out, and it is like make sure that everything gets changed in the same place. And but if you see like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever you change, it is like static, and that is called a stateless widget because it doesn't have state and it will remain static. For example, the images which you used in app, that all comes under the stateless widget, and everything the changing part of your application like scrollable animation, everything comes under the stateful widget. Okay, so this is what you should like make sure before developing an app you have this knowledge about this thing. And okay, as I said, how this stateful widget cycle goes on. So I'll take this simple example itself. Okay, so for example, initially there will be like any type of state. For example, initially there will be 1521 or 1522 initially. So on the each change, it will like check if there are any change dependencies, or like if they need to update the widget or anything like that. So if it needs to update the widget again, goes to the dirty part and like build a new widget, and everything gets updated in the same thing. But for example, if I close this type of thing, the at the background process the time will stop. If you like know about more programming, if you open this one day it will run, or if you close this at background process it will not run. Like it will keep updating here only, but the seconds will not run in the background. So only if you like call this internally, it will make a call to the API, like local APIs or anything like local type of softwares, and make updated. So that is what, if the some things is closed, we should make sure that is disposed and it does not run in the background state. Because if you keep on running each and everything in the background process, your app will get more flooded, and it may like cause your phone to overheat. Yeah, I have experienced that type of things a lot during the development, because the dispose thing I will usually forgot this thing to call, and whenever the app runs in the background it will make my phone overheated. It's like something else. And as I said before, React Native is also been used for Android and iOS development with a single code, and it is developed by Facebook, which it's also like it is a old. It's like a senior type of thing which existing a long back because it uses the JavaScript, which is the old conventional language we use. And so the current rating for it has been increased a lot because it has been used for a long time. But Flutter is introduced now, and the market is like nearly to overtaking the React Native because the main thing is Google. Everyone wants to be like a Google developer, and that was a dream for many of you here. But I don't know like how possible it is. But yes, of course, being a Google developer is something very proud, and everyone prefer like Google developers are the best, and so many of them like trying to adopt to Flutter because although it's a new language, everyone feel it's the best thing. And okay, so one of my favorite part of Flutter, so this is the favorite part of Flutter, it is called the hot reload. Okay, and what is hot reload? Because you may have a confusion, how to say it. Okay, so suppose you are making an application with this similar type of screen, and there is an image, and there is a text widget, and there is a header widget, and everything is a widget here. And you are in a fifth screen and you're debugging the code. Okay, but unfortunately you need to like change this image or icon, or like you need to change this text. So normally what other like Java and everything will do is, instead of resetting the existing screen, it will restart the whole application, which makes the developer to travel to the fifth page and check whether it's working fine or not. But instead of that, think of just imagine like just updating in the same screen. For example, if you are in a fifth screen and you're just updating some contents in fifth screen, and immediately you get like the new contents in the fifth screen itself, instead of traveling from the first screen and reaching to the fifth screen. It's like quite efficient and very helpful for the developers who develop like mobile applications here. And not only that, and okay, and okay, let me tell about the Flutter file structure. And yes, so as you can see, like here is Android folder and iOS folder. So this was for example, Android contains the Java code, and iOS contains the Swift code or any other language we prefer, or Android can also contain the Kotlin code. It is based upon the our preference. Definitely I will show you like what is our preference and how can we set that. And yes, so for example, if you wrote the Flutter code, which has been always located under the lib folder, whichever you develop the application and whatever you write the code, you will always write in the lib folder. And like whatever, if you write the code will be automatically compiled to Java or iOS based on your machine. For example, in my machine, I can't like compile to iOS because this is a Windows machine. Windows doesn't allows you to compile to iOS. Only MacBooks can have the new feature, the like a feature called Xcode software, which allows you to compile to iOS. So with the help of my Windows machine, I could compare from main.dot to Android easily within a single run code. Yeah, I will show the demo for sure. And this is the web application. As I said, you don't even know the don't know about the HTML, CSS. If you know the Flutter, you can also be a front-end developer for sure. Yeah, HTML, CSS are the basics, but still, you don't need. If you are new to HTML, CSS, you can just like go to Flutter, and it will be very helpful for you to the web application developments too. And here is the core part. These are the things you can ignore for now because these are not necessary. And there is a file called pubspec.yaml which plays a major role. And what major role it plays is, for example, you need to import more number of packages, for example, toast messages or Firebase or any other database connections to your application or any other images to your application. Here is the place where you add all your dependencies. Okay. Um, for example, if you need to integrate notification application, you can also add it in the pubspec.yaml, which has been the heart of the Flutter applications. And This is the last thing we are going to look into a theoretical part, because the practical part is quite interesting compared to this. And assume this is a mobile, okay? Assume this is a mobile, and Flutter is being splitted into three layers, especially. One is material application, and one is scaffold, and one is inner widgets. As I said, everything in a Flutter is called as widgets, as text boxes or containers or images. Everything is a widget. And here, material app is the core parent application of all the widgets. For example, you may hear the word called extends in Java. So we will extend the parent class. For example, there is a base class, we will extend it. So all the widgets in the Flutter applications have the properties of the material application. And here, like the second layer would be the scaffold, card, or any other material widget. Material widget is just a immediate child of this. And scaffold, what it does is it gives you a lot of abilities to do an app bar or state management, a lot of things. And inner widgets are simply like whatever widgets you use in the application. For example, scrolling, columns, rows, everything you use in this application. Okay. So as of now, if you have any doubts, because I think I'm going a little bit fast here. Okay, it sounds very silent here. Can I take it as a no, or?
Sir, you refer the React Native. What's your opinion on Ionic, sir?
Sorry, Mr. Karthikeyan.
Kati, your voice is not audible.
Hello, I am audible.
Yes, Karthikeyan, yes.
What's your opinion on Ionic framework, sir?
Ionics, to be honest, I haven't worked with that thing, Karthikeyan, because I mostly have worked with the native applications like Java application development, and then just I jumped into the Flutter part, and I have releasing more applications in the Google Play Store. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not the right person to answer that. So that should be.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And anything else? And you can call me by my name, okay? I'm not a sir or I'm not that much old person. You can call me by name, that would be preferable.
Salman, also people now started talking about MyUI. So what's your opinion on that?
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat?
The people started talking about MyUI framework as well. So what's your opinion on that?
Yes, sir. Even some people prefer MyUI, but I don't think like it has a lot of contributors and like a lot of support for that MyUI framework, because it has less number of contributors compared to other frameworks. So yeah, it may or may not be effective in future. But definitely it will be based on the contributors, because more the contributors, more the support we will get from everyone. So that's what my opinion on MyUI.
Okay. The people tell me that it can be commercialized. I mean, when you do some projects on MyUI, like you develop a app on MyUI, it can be easily commercialized. Is it so?
I'm not sure, sir, whether it can be commercialized or not.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, bro. Am I audible?
Yeah, Tarun. Yeah.
Bro, you told about Flutter as like it's better to use in the front end rather than the back end, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you mean it, sir? Like how scalable it is? It's just like a user interface. We can use Figma for that, right?
Tarun, the thing why I said that Flutter is more preferred for front end, because it was my personal experience. I'm not like you can also use it for back end, and because Flutter is mostly introduced for an UI framework, and that is what the thing mostly people use Flutter as an UI framework as a front end, and people prefer to use Java and Python as a backend. So that would be like high fast for your application, and yes, that is the thing. And like Flutter, not on. Yeah, sir.
Sorry to interrupt, bro. Please.
No, you can ask.
In the front end, like, how do you specifically mean, bro? Like, it's just for user interface, or it is just to give a demo for an application, or how specific it is in the front end?
Okay. Okay. So, for example, take an example of the Teams app application. Okay. So you can see a lot of things like, for example, your name, everything is here, because you can also like use the Tarunsi, like calling using the Flutter, and like making HTTP request using Flutter. But even the JavaScript also can be used for that, like using the calling the backend services. But people use core backend languages like Python and Java, and the C sharp nowadays, because it is most popular for .NET programming. The reason is what to say, the scalability and fast of this application. The more you use for the front end, for example, your code looks cute and charm. Okay, so for example, you can just put the UI and call it from backend. That would be like more preferable, instead of everything loading the stuff in the Flutter application. And not only that, if you like write a bunch of code in the Flutter using the front end and backend part in the same application, your app size will be like too much. If you take Java and iOS, the language itself like optimizes the code, and it will like less in MB or something. But if you take the Flutter, the size is being large, because the code is like automatically gets compiled to Android as well as iOS. So that's what my preference would be, like use Flutter only for front end, for only for UI part of thing, instead of calling the backend HTTP services. That would HTTP or REST services, any sort of thing. So that would be my preference there.
Bro, in case it is used for in the back end, you most prefer to be Firebase, right?
Backend is not Firebase, Tarun. Firebase is just a cloud application, cloud database, like provides the authentication, everything. Backend, like if you speak about backend, you can like talk about the various databases, SQL, Postgres, and MongoDB. There are a lot of backends. Firebase is like only preferred for cloud-based solutions. That is what Firebase is mostly preferred for. And yeah, Firebase has also been used for a lot of backend things, but the thing, even we developed using the Firebase a lot of applications, and today also will be like seeing the demo about the Firebase too. And the thing is, whenever I used to call the Firebase from a Flutter application, I feel it is quite slow, like compared to calling using the backend services like Python. For example, if you create a Flask application using Python, and you like simply like ask the Flask application to get data from Firebase, it is quite faster than compared to Flutter. So that is what people prefer to use, that type of things. Instead of overloading the Flutter code with what to say, with lot of backend calls and everything, we need to keep the code as more clean as possible. So that's what it looks good.
Clear, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tarun.
Bro, how much time it requires to load up, bro?
Load up in the sense, what you're asking,
Start,
Karthik?
app start, starting time.
Starting time from the development mode, or you're talking about the release mode?
Compiled.
Compiled mode. For example, if you use applications like Android Studio, it is completely based on your system speed. But if you like release in the release mode, for example, like applications which is released in Google Play Store, it is super fast, because you know what Google is. So that's what I can comment on this. Karthikeyan, am I clear?
Thank you, Bozan.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, as I said before, we will go to the development of the application. It's been quite interesting. Okay. So before going to the development part, I would like to show you the simple documentation, which I will even share to you personally after this call. And you need to download this type of things, because if I do this now, it will take more than 1 hour, because it is based on internet speed. And you should download the Flutter SDK part, and you should not like install anything. You should just set environment variable for the Flutter. After downloading it, it's just quite easy and understandable, nothing complex here. And other than that, you can just download the Android Studio, which has been quite popular framework. You can also even download the Visual Studio Code, but I personally prefer Android Studio because of it provides a lot of things like emulator and lot of things in inbuilt everything. So although I have been worked in Visual Studio Code either in my office and everything, I personally prefer for Android applications development. Android Studio would be like more efficient thing. And after that thing, we will see this part now. And there are like a lot of Java JDK versions, but JDK 8 would be best, because I faced an issue while releasing an application in Google Play Store when I was doing intern. I was using Java 12, if I'm not sure. Like it had more number of complexities. It doesn't adopt to my latest version of Flutter. There were a lot of issues like compiling or generating key type of issues. So if you would like to release any applications in Flutter, or like if you are planning for releasing an application in Play Store, I would prefer you to download the Java JDK 8, which has been most preferred library, okay, and software development kit. And we'll go here, and it is very simple. We can create a new Flutter here. And as I said before, this is our own preference. For example, the code needs to be compiled to Java or Kotlin. It is our own preference. For example, I prefer Java because I know Java very well. Because and like iOS, I'm not worried. It can be Objective C or Swift. It's on your preference. If you like planning to develop for the web also, for example, if you're planning to release in as a web application also, you can make sure this option is enabled here, and you can proceed further. And for now, I'm just choosing Android and iOS. That would be useful. And okay, so as we saw in PPT, the structure is similar to that. There we saw like Android things, and Android we will see an application like the native Java code here. For example, main activity.java. We don't need to set up the SDK for this, because Flutter automatically does everything. It just extends the Flutter activity, and it will make sure your every code gets compiled here. And there is similar like Android, there is a folder called iOS where your code will be automatically compiled to the Swift language. And as I said before, lib is where your entire running code should be present, and everything is in a dot format, because use only the dot language here, and any other language is not will be work for Flutter. And other than that, as I said, pubspec.yaml, which is the heart of the application, where you need to declare all the packages whichever you use in the application, and you can also like mention the images you use in the application, and a lot more type of things. Okay. And let me go. And Flutter automatically generates a code which is like a sample Flutter application. If you see this code, definitely you will feel more difficult. Let me just run this auto generated code, and we will see how it looks. Okay. So as I said, Flutter Android Studio gives a lot of preference for its emulators. So that's what makes Android Studio still a part market. And let me just run the application. And initially during this debugging process, the entire speed of the debugging mode or compilation mode, it is completely based on a system. If you used like 8 GB or 16 GB RAM, it will be quite fast. Or if you use 4 GB RAM, also it will work, but your computer may hang a lot sometimes. So see, I have 8 GB RAM, so got fastly compiled. So it is like sample application automatically generated by Flutter whenever we create a project. So as I said before, here this button, the plus button is a stateless widget because it will be like static here. But if you like press this button here, the values will be changing, and here is what the stateful widgets are being used. Okay, and yes, okay, and I will try to make sure you should understand each line of this code, and I will erase all this code first. And just give me a minute. I had some file. And yes, we'll begin with everything from first here. And okay. So as I said before, the material and material app plays the major role when it comes to Flutter because this is the mandatory package you need to import for everything. And we see like there is a stateful and stateless widget, and there is a shortcut key for Flutter. For example, if you just type stful, you will get the stateful, and if you just type stles, you will get the stateless widget, and it will automatically generate every part of your code. And I will just name it as my application, and I don't need this constructors. And in order to Flutter to work, conventional languages like Java, or as I said, like C++, there is called a main method in every language. The main method is the core part where our application starts to execute. Okay, and you may like feel difficult with this type of keywords, and I'll make sure it is like very easy for you. Just give me a minute. It should be material application. As I said, it is the core part of the application. Mm, just give me a minute first. I will type this thing and I'll explain it. Okay. So let me crack line by line first. So as I said, like we saw an image in PPT, if I'm not sure. Everything comes under the material app, and the second widget should be any material widget. For example, there are more number of material widgets like scaffold, card, and lot of things. And like scaffold, which gives you a lot of opportunities, like provide the theme of the application and provide the app bar for this application, everything. So you can use scaffold for most of the things. And inner widgets can be anything. So that is the main ethics of the Flutter. And here you can see we are using just the stateless widget. So whenever you use any class, so the class is where you write your code, and that should even the my app is also a widget, and that should be a stateless widget. That is what I'm stating here. And apart from that, as I said before, the scaffold under the material app, the next widget should be the scaffold, and under the scaffold you can like write anything, any widget. And I will just format this code. That will be easy. And this line, widget build, okay, this line is the core part of the application, which like executes our entire application in the Go. For example, in a rendering any image or anything which is written under this type of things, it would be taken care by the widget build. And widget build has a context. Context means the content in the application. It can be any content. So what we commonly call as the context. And other than that, as you see, it will be very simple to understand for you, because this is scaffold, as I said, the second type of widget. And here you can see any feature like app bar, drawer, or anything. So Flutter is mostly about by practicing. So because whenever you see this type of things, you will find new, or like you may find difficult. But when you just know the format of the Flutter, for you everything would be easy. And under the scaffold, the body would be the I use the center widget because I want to center the text hello world. So that's what the main root cause of this application. So you can see a simple application here which is stating the hello world. So under scaffold you can use any type of widgets, like for example text, images, or anything. But you need to make sure everything is under a material widget. So that is the most important part here. And like center and text widgets, you will be come acrossing this type of words when you like get most used to Flutter. Because of for the first time you will like find everything as a new, but if you keep on practicing, it will be more convenient for you. And so as we planned before, in the agenda, we are planning for building an application like application for connecting the Firebase and authentication and that type of thing. So it is very simple. For already the people who know Firebase or like feel of revising the same content. But if you are new to this type of Firebase, let me tell you what Firebase is first. Um, okay. There it is. And yes, so this is the Firebase, and Firebase is the Google cloud services which is being provided. It is a backend as a service. Everything here is a backend. And so if you go through an application, you can see a lot of things like authentication. You can provide any authentication methods. For example, you can like email authentication method and phone authentication. And as you see, like many applications sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook. So everything Firebase provides. So, and hello.
Hello, Salman. What happened?
I don't know. Someone has. Okay.
Okay. Please.
Yeah. Thank you. And as you can see, like various types of authentication. For recently for my project, I use the using the phone authentication, where you will like just get the OTP for your mobile number, and you will just enter through the app. So here are a lot of like various types of authentication. And for developers or beginning for practice, they could use the Firebase, because it provides a free limit for certain usage. And here is a lot of things like real-time databases, and also the storage. In storage part of thing, you can like upload the images and like profile images or any sort of thing you need to do this application. And the main thing, it's a NoSQL database. You don't need to aware of the about the SQL here. And with the simple types of functions which is being provided for the provided by this package, you can use it simply. And you don't even know a single part of SQL or that type of thing. So, and also the most important part is functions, which is being now mostly used in all the applications. And for the free tier, you cannot use this. The reason is it will run the backend code without managing servers. Like it means that, for example, you want to do some changes. For example, in Gmail, without updating the application, you may face some UI changes immediately, because everything, the backend code is uploaded in the cloud servers. And whenever you like to push notifications, like most of the things had been handled by the Google's cloud functions. So that's what it's been mainly used. And if you do a research about this Firebase, you can find a lot of things here. I'm not going deep into this, because for the demo purpose, we will like only use the authentication thing. And okay, so for now, we will just create a login and sign up page, and we will just log one user into the application. That would be quite sufficient for you. And okay, let's get started now. First, let me write the code and then I will explain. So let me explain line by line, which I did. In Flutter, there is two type of things which is being morely used: column and rows. You know what is a column, right? For example, it is in a linear way. It is a column. For example, here are a number of list or number of roll numbers here. But something, if you see like Amazon, Flipkart, there is like horizontal scrollable things. So everything which is available in horizontal or rows. So these are the main concepts. And here I have not done anything here. For example, in column and column, that should be children's, and the children's should be two buttons. And the most important part you need to understand is in Flutter you cannot like write your own code like as you think. For example, in Java, if you have given the odd number program or even number program, you can just write by your own. But that type of thing is not in Flutter. In Flutter, you should have the deep knowledge of undergoing the documentation. Because, for example, for few days ago, I was using the raised button part of thing, and suddenly it is being deprecated, and like if we use in the further thing, I may face some issues. So that is what deprecated is, and deprecated means it is like not supported by Flutter no more. And so if you like see this code, you may find what is this elevated button and what is this column and what is the center and what is scaffold. Everything in the Flutter will be changing like based on the update. So you cannot stick to anything. So before like developing into code or anything type of code, I would recommend to go through the documentations and or Google it or go to Stack Overflow, see a lot of videos because when I started Flutter, as I said, during my internship, I had no clues. I was just copying and pasting code from that type of things, and I was like decrypting line by line. So that here everything gets updated frequently. And another one best example is so far like 2 months ago I was using like for example string name, and see like now it is not supported. Now even the string is not supported. So like now it has been introduced that there is a late keyword here because it can be initialized on future or not. So that is what late keyword means. And so this is what I prefer you to instead of what to say, like seeing this code and understanding this code, I mean like using the same type of code in every application. I used to go to every new type of documentation and analyze the codes and come up with the solution. So that is one best efficient way for the Flutter developers I would recommend. And okay, for now I don't need this line. And yeah, so here is just a simple thing I wrote. I just wrote an button. So that is elevated button. There are a lot of buttons in Flutter which you can come across, but just for a demo I'm using this. And inbuilt it will automatically generated under the button what should be. So I just tell the Flutter code it should be a text widget. As I said, everything here should be widget. So elevated button, text button, text, everything is a widget here. So I just say the elevated button, your child should be the text of sign in or text of sign out. And whenever you press the button, there is thing on pressed will be called automatically. I'm just printing here. Print sign in is called. And as I said before, like hot reload feature, which supports a Flutter a lot. And you can see here's an hot reload feature. Instead of entirely restarting this application, it will just refresh this one day screen. For example, if you are under the sign in screen or you are a lot more deeper under the screen, it will be difficult for you to come again to the screen and travel a lot. So that's what Flutter provides this type of things. And I have given a print statement. It just looks like a Python statement. And when I press this, I can get a call like sign in is called, and yeah, again sign in is called. So this where you will write the functionality of your application, what it should do. And similarly, there is a sign up thing, and here you can write what your application should exactly do. So for now, okay, I will just create another dart file because the thing is, whenever you write a front end code or anything, you should not overload in the same file. So that is, it is like not recommended or a good practice of writing a code. And I will just create a sign in dart page and another page called sign up dot page. And here what we will be doing is, as I said before, this type of things won't change. It is like a basic thing of Flutter, and we will just use a stateless widget here because we don't have anything changing here. And what can we name it as? We can name it as login page. Okay, here I think so. We need to go for stateful widget because you will need to make an asynchronous call to the Firebase server. So this will be easy for you. And here simply you don't need to mention the material app, which I said before, because this is the void main function where the core execution of the application. So once you mentioned here, you don't need to mention material app anywhere. So that is what, and you can use scaffold here. That would be easier. Everything. And here I will just tell you what an app bar is. I will just name it as sign in. Oh God, I'm getting some error. Sorry. Too many positional ornaments. I think here I should use the text widget. I'll name it as sign in. It is a simple scaffold here. I'll save this first. Okay. So this is one important part. Okay, navigation from pages to pages. So that is one important part. For example, if you press the sign in, you should go to that sign in page. So if you press sign up, you should go to that sign up page. So navigation plays a vital role here. And I will just use a simple navigation thing. Navigation dot navigator dot push. Just let me write this and I will explain what is this. Here you should mention the class name which you use in the login page. Okay, let me say what I have done here. And as you say, like navigator, there are more things in navigator. For example, if you don't want the user to come back from this page, you you can use that push and pop method here. Sorry, pop and push named here because, for example, when you use the login screen, like that type of screens, you don't want the user to come back after logging into this application. You don't want need to show the sign in page. So there are like more number of methods here which you will like come across when you're developing. For simple like starting purpose, I will just use the navigator.push method. What it will do is it will like I said, the context of this application is the most context. I mean the entire context of the whole application, and it will be pushed to the login page. For example, you will be routed from the main dot to login page, and login page is where the class of the class name of this page. So that is where you can use, and you can also pass any like arguments here. Yeah, we will see. So that's what I done. For example, when you press the sign in, I should navigate the user to sign in page. So that's what we are doing here. And let me make a basic sign in page for you. So here also we will use the columns because I want the user to enter his email and password to enter into this application. And I will just make two buttons. Just give me a minute. I will type this in. I should make it as a center thing. Password, enter the email, everything. And as you see, let me go first. And what I'm doing is this is app bar, which is we see it before, and this is the body of this application. And why I use the container is to make the alignments. For example, I just given the edge insets dot all 30. It means from all the sides it will take the 30 as a distance, and it is why it is in center means we have given the main axis alignment. For columns, all the main axis alignments will be like this, and for rows the main axis, like it believes on it depends on the horizontal manner. For example, if this is a row, the center point will be here, and if it is a column, the center point will be determined by the height of the screen, and the row will be determined by the width of the screen. So that is what I have given the main axis alignment dot center. And why we use the form widget? Okay, the main part is here we use the form widget because we need there is like many type of things like text editing controller and many type of things. And why I personally prefer the form type of widget, because like it will give an efficient way for me to validate with a simple type of with a single or a simple type of code. And under the form widget, we have two forms. One is text form, which gives the enter your email keyword, and another is a text form which tells you to enter your password. Okay, and just let me add few more things here. I don't need the constructor. I need email password. Okay, the keyword why we use late, because it will be initialized later. So that is what we mean by the late keyword. It was not like before 2 months I didn't see this keyword. Surprisingly, like a week ago when I installed the latest version of Flutter, I was surprised to see this keyword. And other than that, the things we need are form key. And here we will pass the form state. Doesn't that something we need? Okay, everything looks good. And the main reason we use the form key here. Oh, sorry, should be defined here. Form key is always like stores the state of this application. For example, whatever you type in the enter your email and whatever you type in enter your password, it will store the type of things in your application. So that is what, and also the form key will be used for you to validate the things you enter. For example, if your email should contain gmail.com, you can just mention here like this also provides a validator here. And I can mention if input dot contains and the main thing, and like this feature is also introduced in the new version of Flutter, that is null check. And the main use of null check is it will stop the program immediately if the value is null instead of throwing the null type error. That is what null check is used nowadays. And you should make sure whenever you call a method of a null variable or anything without initializing it, it should be the type safe should be added here. And you can mention if the input does not contain at gmail.com, you can return enter a valid mail here. And here also you can mention something like input dot length less than 6. You can return an error like enter a valid password. And I think we are good for now. And anything are we missing? Okay, yeah, main thing. If this input is right, there will be automatically a method called onSave will be called, in which you will store the value of the variable inside email. This will be onSaved will be called only if validator doesn't throw any error. So that is the main thing to be noted. I'll check. Okay. And here also we can mention like onSaved of input. Password is equal to. Okay, I think we're good here. The next thing we need to do is we need a button here that should call the sign in method. Elevated button. of signing. Non-pressed, you should call a method like validate, and I haven't wrote that method. We will write it later, what we should validate. And if the validation is success, the thing we can do is we can call the method. Okay, we'll write it later. For now, I'm commenting this line. Let me save this first. There is a sign button here. Okay, it looks good. Okay, till this, do anyone have any doubts like regarding the code or anything else regarding this? Karthikeyan Tarun. Okay, it is silent here. I will take it as a no and proceed further. Here, here we have a sign up page. I will just copy the code from sign in page so to modify it. Okay. 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 And here it should be sign up. And here we can enter an additional attribute called username. Here we can add a validator like input dot length 6 enter a valid name. Bounce here its username should be yeah, this is almost same as the modify the things here. Whenever the main dot is called, we should route up this to page as we did for sign in part. Here I will add navigator dot context. I think now everything looks good. Let me restart the entire application here. Then I press sign up. Yes. And finally, we need a success screen. Let me implement it. Dashboard. Here, I don't want to use the stateful widget. Stateless is enough, but okay, we can use it. No, body should be center off. Should be the name of the user. The name. Okay. And I should get this display name from the constructor. Let me change it as a stateless itself. It will be very easy for me. So, here, like constructors is like a normal method used in Java or any type of languages. And the main thing is like we need to mention a key here. As I said, like everything key stores the entire value and key plays the most difference here. Mentioning key is always this type of thing. And I could like mandatory request for this argument should be display name. The way of writing constructors in Flutter dot code. And the display name is nothing but a final string. Display name. What are we missing here is already a constant. Okay, I think we are good for now. The only thing is we should implement the sorry, Firebase part, and I think we will be good to go. So let me come from beginning. And I think like most of you heard about the keywords like async, await. Okay, so like why we use this type of keywords is whenever we make like anything like network calls or any type of like future dependencies which will be returned in future or not, we will use the async await. And okay, let me structure this code first. and go here. Okay. I will just create a new application for you. So creating an application in Firebase is more simple. Here you can just uh, type your project name. Just give me I think network is too slow. Give me a minute, or else I'll show my old project. And yes, I apologize because my network is too slow, so that I'm showing the my existing project. It is like similar to that, and let me explain what are the things I have did here, or like it is like of same screen, nothing changed with that, except here the Firebase calls would have been added and that would not be added. Okay. So as I said before, like async await the keyword, why we use this, because we need to, like whenever we make a future calls or any network calls, we will use this type of things. And let me, so like initially whenever you call a Firebase application from your mobile application, you need to make sure these two things have been called, because this will make sure your application is connected to the Firebase. And what it does is exactly, there will be a file called google service.json. Like whenever you create a new application in Flutter, Google provides you this JSON application where it contains the secret key and see a client ID and client type of everything of your application. So this code will just initialize your application and verify everything is correct in your application. And what this is the main keyword we used here, like for authentication purpose. Before going to this, let me show what I have done in the login screen first. And let me scroll down, and yes, we can see it is like same code, no worries. And like whenever you click for the login button, I will just validate the contents in the application. For example, as I said, whether it is like a valid password or valid username or like that. So what I have written is, I will just, as I said, that form key stores the entire content of the form fields. For example, email, username, and everything. So what we will do is, we will first store it in a variable, and we will like dot validate method will automatically call the validator in all the forms which we have written. For example, if the input length is less than 6, we will like throw the error, something like that. So if everything goes good, we will just save the form state dot save, and this form state dot save will automatically invoke the code on save which we have wrote before, like password is equal to input and this type of things. And other than this, there is a sign in method I wrote, like connecting to the Firebase and validating the user. And like, so as I said, it is like simple, we require no SQL or anything type of things, because this authentication, either it is an authentication, or either it is an, what to say, like database queries, whatever you use, it is like just simple, what to say, simple methods which will be used. So here you can see everything is readable, like sign in with email and password. So we will just pass the email and password here. So this method, what it will do is, it will validate the user which is being stored in the database. For example, I think, let me show this. Until it loads here. And yeah, just it will check if this user is present in the database. If this user is present, we will sign in. And if the user is doesn't present, the code will automatically throw an error. And here I will catch this error and return this message to the user. So it is simple as that. Similarly, like if you see the sign in the sign up page, there is a simple code. Everything is same as that. Only thing is, we will, instead of calling sign in with user, here we will call create user with email and password. So that is what the difference is. Here we will pass email and password, and we will get done everything we need. And the last final thing which I have wrote in the main dot is, um, when it comes to Firebase authentication, or like most of the authentication methods, everything gives us a session. For example, some applications will be automatically logged out if you use more than 1 hour or more than 2 hours. For example, mainly the banking applications. Like I have been using IOB so far, so immediately after 20 minutes, whether I have been using or not using, it will get immediately logged out without my prompt. So that type of thing. So this Firebase auth, what will store is stores the current current user's session state. And what I have doing is in the main function, I will check if there is any user present in current authentication. If user is present, I will push him directly to the dashboard, or if the user is not present, I will like push him to the that login screen which we used before. And the main part here to like look into it is, if you have came across the language like C++, you have heard about the operators called ternary operators, right? For example, a is equal to 1, then return as true, else false. So most of the Flutter we will use the ternary operators. For example, if we don't want to return center, user preference is equal to a center, we can return the center widget, or we can return any other widget here. So that is what ternary operators plays a major role here. And I will check if my internet is working fine. Okay. And here, as you can see, like I have logged many users. So for your demo purpose, I will create another user for this application, and I will run this main dot. Okay, so as I said before, the user session Dawn, which has been already there, I will log him out from this application. As you see before, this is the same application we are like trying to do here. And if I go to sign in, I can enter a username or password. If I go to sign up here, I used to enter any name. For example, I will enter PC. Here, we can like enter any image here. It doesn't need to be like any valid email. For the valid email check, we can also enable another authentication method. So, yeah, I will explain it. Three, one, two, three. Okay. You can also like hide this password for this demo purpose. I'm keeping it as a visible thing. Okay, so hello PC. So even if you like restart this application, the user is being only logged in, because the thing is the user session is already inactive. So if the user session is already active, we will automatically push him to the logged in screen instead of pushing him to sign in screen or something like that. Okay. And yes, so this is about Flutter. And okay, I think there is more time. We can have a Q&A session now. Okay. Okay, guys. So I'm done. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask, or I will even share my email ID so that if you feel like not asking here, you can ask me personally. and it is based upon your preference. And I would like to share another thing, which is regarding the placement opportunities which is being offered, because in our campus placement opportunities are a lot. So I think so here current third year or second year or present, um, I would recommend you to prefer programming languages like Java, especially because whenever our staffs used to tell about go through Java and do projects, we were really like in a jolly mood and we neglected everything. And I started every preparation in the third year young, and I felt very difficult when coming across the placements. So before I have heard this type of things, or if I if I followed this type of things, I wouldn't have suffered that much. And because of our college, I got nearly 5 placement opportunities like Zoho, CTS, everything. And so yes, more than any placement trainer would recommend for you, I can say you the exact status of our Panimal Engineering College. Like it's very good, and mostly like in our department, all are have been placed. So yes, do you have any doubts? You can go ahead, either regarding Flutter or placements or anything. Yeah, just come out, guys. I'm just 1 year greater than you. Okay, I feel very silent here.
If you have any questions, you can ask. All right. So probably I hope you would have got much more idea on this Flutter. I thank Mr. Salman for his presentation. Thank you, Salman, and we will wind up here, Salman. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all, guys.